Bonjour again. So, like I said in my last video, lesson 2 is mostly all about adjectives. So that's what we're going to get into in this video. There are a few more words in this one. I know we only had 6 last time, quite a few in this one, but you know a lot of them. So some of this is review, such as this. You know a lot of adjectives already. You know mostly where they go, and you know mostly how to change them to match the subject. But let's look at this little chart. So the endings for regular adjectives, just normal, nothing special about them, adjectives. Singular and masculine, nothing has to change, the base form is fine. Singular and feminine, you would add an E. Masculine and plural, you add an S. Feminine and plural, an ES. And then you can see here using the word petit, which you know means either small or short. Petit, singular feminine is petite. Plural masculine is petit with an S. And plural feminine is petite with an ES. You are familiar with this. This isn't new. This should be review for you. And you can see here there are a couple exceptions to these rules. They are if the verb already ends in an E, so like the verb or the adjective dynamique, marqué dynamique. You don't have to add another E for a feminine version. It already ends in E. You don't have to do anything. Nathalie est dynamique aussi. And another exception, if the verb ends in S, or adjective ends in S already, you don't have to add an extra S if it is plural and masculine. For example, Philippe est français, and Eric et Patrick sont français. Okay, so we don't have to have two S's at the end. However, if these are two women, if it were Nathalie et Stephanie, we would say sont françaises with an ES. And then the other thing, most adjectives come after the noun that they modify, right? And we'll look at that on the next slide. But in English, we would say the red car. In French, you say the car red. For the most part, adjectives come after the noun. There are exceptions. You know them. There are some, and when I say some, I mean many irregular adjectives. You know these, though. So you understand and know the concept of irregular adjectives. So for instance, Alain est beau. Alan is handsome or beautiful. Stéphanie est belle. Stephanie is beautiful. So these are pretty drastically different from masculine to feminine. Beau versus belle. But they both mean beautiful. Mon grand-père est vieux. My grandfather is old. Et ma tante est vieille. My aunt is old. Okay, so vieux and vieille. Super irregular. Not really a pattern there. And then, j'ai un nouveau copain. I have a new friend. And qui est ta nouvelle copine? Who is your new friend? So nouveau versus nouvelle, masculine, feminine. And we're going to look at a few more irregular adjectives as well. But luckily, they all pretty much follow patterns. But first we're going to do general adjective stuff. So, like I said, most adjectives come after the noun they are modifying. The car, red. But there are many adjectives that come before the noun they modify. And the way you can remember which adjectives come before the noun they modify is with the acronym BANGS. Okay? So, BANGS stands for beauty, age, number, goodness, and size. So any adjective of beauty, age, number, goodness, or size, and we'll talk about what that means in a second, will come before the noun. Before, as in bangs, go like before your face, like in front of your face, so these adjectives go in front of the noun. So, adjectives of beauty that you know jolie. Jolie means pretty. Tu as une jolie montre, you have a pretty watch. And beau, or belle, when it's feminine. These mean beautiful. Vous avez une belle maison. You have a beautiful home, house. Adjectives of age that you know include vieux, or vieille, feminine. J'ai un vieux vélo. I have an old bike. Jeune, which means young. Nous avons un jeune professeur. We have a young teacher. And nouveau, or nouvelle, in the feminine. Paul a un nouveau portable. Paul has a new phone. Adjectives of goodness that you know. You know bon, or bonne, in the feminine. And you know its opposite, mauvais. So Claire est une bonne élève. Claire is a good student. Mauvais just means the opposite of good. It means bad. But even though it means bad, it is still a adjective that describes something's goodness. So it goes in front of the noun. And then adjectives of size, you know grand, which means big or tall, and you know petit, which means small or short. Mes voisins ont une petite voiture. My neighbors have a small car. Now, these are just a random note here. So, before a vowel sound, some of these masculines change. The same way a lot of things change before vowel sounds, right? So, beau becomes belle, B-E-L. Un bel appartement, a beautiful apartment. Nouveau becomes nouvelle, un nouvel ami, a new friend. And vieux becomes vieil, un vieil homme, an old man. Okay, those are bangs. Beauty, age, number, goodness, size. They go in front of the noun. And we're going to do an activity that will help you practice differentiating what goes where. Okay, so some adjectives. Some of these you know, some of them you don't. I want you to pause me. I want you to look at the screen and write these down. And I want you to write down the definitions that you think these are. I want you to write down your predicted definitions. When you've got them, unpause me and we'll go through and see how many you got. All right, you're back. You've followed my instructions, hopefully. Maybe you haven't. So, some adjectives. We've got riche, and pauvre. Pauvre. This symbol right here you have probably seen in math. It means does not equal, and I'm just using it to show you that these are opposites. So riche is the opposite of pauvre. Riche, as you most likely guessed, means rich, and pauvre means poor. Rich, poor. Then we've got content versus triste. Content means happy, and triste means sad. Juste and injuste, opposites. Juste means fair, and injuste means unfair. Poli and impoli, opposites. Poli means polite, and impoli means impolite. Drôle, drôle versus pénible, pénible. Drôle means funny, pénible means annoying. Sensible, sensible. This one could mean sensible, which is probably what you guessed, but most often it means sensitive. Sensitive. Like if you told me je suis sensible, I would think you were saying I am sensitive, but it can mean sensible. Then we've got sympathique. Sympathique. It just means nice, pleasant. And you can shorten this to sympa, which you probably remember from French 1, just S-Y-M-P-A. Il est sympa, he's nice. Then aimable. Aimable. This means friendly. We have the word amiable in English, which looks very similar and also means friendly. Then we've got bête. Bête means either silly or stupid or dumb. Bête. Égoïste. Égoïste means selfish. You can see the word ego in there. And timide. Timide means shy. Looks like timid. It means timid or shy. Okay, so some of these you knew, some of them are probably new. And then we've also got a couple adverbs. Okay, so 3 adverbs. You have seen definitely this first one. So the first one, très. Très means very. If you do well in your work, I usually will comment a très bien, which means very good or very well. So ma tante est très sympa. My aunt is very nice. But then we've got trop. Trop. This means too, as in T-O-O. Ne sois pas trop triste. Don't be too sad. Don't be too sad. And assez means rather. Mon petit frère est assez drôle. My little brother is rather funny. In like normal casual English, we would probably say kinda. Or kind of. My little brother is kind of funny. He's rather funny. All right. So, before we go to the next slide, I want to prepare you. So we're about to learn some irregular adjectives. None of them are as irregular as beau and belle and vieux and vieille, any of those. In fact, they all follow a certain pattern. So you're going to see a table show up on the screen, and it's going to show you the pattern that verbs follow in these sections. All right, so first up, we've got verbs that end in E, or adjectives. Why do I keep saying verbs? Adjectives that end in EUX. Adjectives that end in EUX, okay? So for the masculine singular, nothing changes, they end in EUX. And for plural masculine, they also don't change, it ends in EUX. However, feminine singular, EUX becomes EUSE. Uz is how it's pronounced. EUX is pronounced EUSE is pronounced uz. And then for plural feminine, what you expect happens. You just add an S, so it's uz with an ES. Okay, for example, an adjective that ends in EUX is sérieux. Alain est sérieux. Alan is serious. Okay? Ses amis sont sérieux. His friends are serious. All right, no change because this is masculine plural, ses amis. Alice est sérieuse. Alice is serious. Feminine, so it changes to EUSE. And ses amis sont sérieuses. Ses amis here is feminine, you can tell because of this E. And then sérieuse has to agree with it, so it gets an EUSE, sérieuse. And these verbs, or adjectives, down here follow this pattern. They all follow this exact pattern. Pause me, I'll bet you can guess what almost all of these mean. Pause me, write them down, guess the definitions, and then come back and we'll do them together. So we've got ambitieux, or ambitieux, which means ambitious. Consciencieux, say that 3 times fast. Consciencieux, which means conscientious, or like thoughtful, or careful. Curieux, curieux means curious. Ennuyeux, ennuyeux means boring. Généreux. Généreux means generous. Sérieux, you just learned, means serious. Heureux. Heureux means happy. Malheureux. Malheureux means unhappy. And paresseux. Paresseux means lazy. Okay, so those are EUX adjectives. Next, we've got adjectives that end in AL. Okay, so for masculine singular, they end in AL. For masculine feminine, or singular and feminine, they end in ALE. That follows the regular pattern that you would expect. And for plural feminine, it also follows the pattern you would expect, ALES. These are really only irregular in the masculine plural form. So in masculine plural, adjectives ending in AL turn into an ending AUX. Okay, so for example, Paul est original. Paul is original. Il a des amis originaux. He has original friends, like unique friends. Okay, but then the rest follow the pattern we'd think. Valérie est originale. Elle a des amis original. And some other adjectives ending in AL, like the others. Pause me, see if you can guess, then come back. Génial. Génial means genial or nice. Libéral. Libéral means open-minded, is how we would say it. Open-minded. And original. Original means original. Alright. You know some of these. You remember the word sportif or sportive from last year from French 1, meaning athletic. So this is the pattern for those. So adjectives ending in IF. Masculine plural, exactly what you'd expect, IFS. But in the singular or in the feminine version, it becomes IVE and IVES. If versus Eve. So Paul est actif, but Sylvie est active. They're both active, but one with an IF and one with an IVE. Same thing as before. Pause me, see if you can guess what these mean. Actif. Actif means active. Imaginatif. Imaginatif means imaginative. Impulsif. Impulsif means impulsive. Naïf. Naïf means naive. We just use this word in English. It means like gullible. Intuitif. Intuitif means intuitive, like you follow like your gut. And sportif. Sportif means athletic. And just two more sets of these. Okay, so adjectives ending in ON. Plural masculine, it's what you'd expect, add an S, but for feminine singular, instead of just adding an E, you add an N and an E. Okay, you've seen this before in bon versus bonne. So ce sandwich est bon, but cette glace est bonne. This sandwich is good, this ice cream is good. Okay, just an extra N and an E. Bon versus bonne. And then in the plural version, they just both add an S like normal. And I think you know this adjective from French 1, mignon. Mignon means cute. Cute. Okay, and finally, the adjective ending en. En. And same as the last two, it's only different in the feminine version. So the feminine version just gets an extra N and an E instead of just an E. So you have seen this in all of the nationalities that end like this. So Marc est Canadien, Alice est Canadienne, with two N's and an E. Just like Italien, or, you know, any of the others that end in en. And then they just add S's like normal. In the plural form, And the only one of these that you need to learn is musicien. Musicien, which means musical. All right, that was quite a bit, a lot of words for you to learn. So I'm going to let you sort of inscribe those on your heart and work on the 2 assignments I posted. One of them is just a little practice sheet, and then one of them is a graded little acrostic. I'll explain it more in the actual assignment. It's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it. With that, au revoir. I will see you in our next video where we're going to finish up our Lesson 2 notes. Lesson 2 is pretty short, so we're almost done with it. I will see you then.